You walk into a dimly lit tavern, shaking off the night's cold. The soft din of patrons reaches your ear, the conversations of many languages overlapping like birds in a forest. Something draws your attention above all else. It's the guttural laugh of an elderly orc sitting in a chair by the hearth. As you approach, you notice his once proud green skin has started to turn an ashy gray. His long locks of white hair falling from his top knot like an avalanche. One of his lower tusks is broken, and you could see a myriad of battle scars. He spots you as you approach, sizing you up in an instant.
Hello there, stranger. Don't see many of your kind this far north. What brings you this far from home?
You say nothing, but pull the hood of your cloak a little tighter around your head for fear of being noticed by the other patrons. Gruck sees you're on ease and offers you a seat.
Have a seat, traveler.
Gruck flags down a bar wench and orders you both some ale. And after a long moment, she returns with his order and hands you a tankard. You accept, and Gruck takes a long quaff from his own tankard. He considers you for a moment and then sets down his tankard.
There's only one reason one of your kind would make such a pilgrimage as this. You're here seeking information about a certain dark elf, aren't you?
You glance so nervously at the room, hoping no one overheard Gruck's proclamation, but the rest of the tavern seems preoccupied with their own business. You take a hesitant sip from your tankard. As you do, you make a mental note that Gruck may have to be dealt with at some time. An orc this intuitive could be a problem for you down the road.
I suppose it was only a matter of time before someone from down south came looking for him. He's made quite a name for himself up here. It's my estimation that the heroes of some of these tales have all been real scoundrels at some point or another, but not him. Do you know anything about him other than what you've been told? You shake your head. All of your information about your quarry has been what could only amount to propaganda. But you were given orders by a certain Pasha Pook, your patron and client. You don't question your orders, you just carry them out. What is your business with him? Actually, it's none of my concern. Either you will find him, or he'll find you. That's just how it works.
Gruck leans closer and lowers his voice momentarily.
That's just the way this works. I've been alive long enough to know an assassin when I see one.
Gruck leans back in his seat and gives you a lopsided grin that only an orc can give.
Like I said, your business is none of mine, but maybe I can shed some light on the legend. A hero. Some might say a future deity. I mean, that is what he is, isn't he? A drow that defied Lolth, left the Underdark, and has been making a name for himself as a ranger. You know probably some of the stories, but do you know of his fight with the dragon Shimmergloom?
Welcome to Faith, Fantasy, and Fairytales, a conversation between two Christian nerds about D&D, sci-fi, and any other nerdy stuff we can think of. I'm Seth.
I'm Monty.
Let's get nerdy together. The story is kind of what this podcast is all about.
Right.
So why is it for us that Halo is so near and dear to our hearts? Well, we're brothers, and growing up, he watched over my shoulder regularly playing video games, or we play together. This is actually the first game that we got where we actually were able to sit down together and play through a story together and just use our imaginations. This was our forming video games.
Yeah.
And the story for it is something that I think a lot of people really could get into if this wasn't the genre, if the genre wasn't video game, right? Or the media, wasn't video game. If it was a movie,
yeah.
I think a lot more people would be into it.
Yeah, definitely. this is a D&D monster. It's it's a really cool monster. The first edition appearance of a beholder was as if Rob Kuntz was like, okay, here's a circle. Here's an eye. Mm-hmm. Here's a mouth. That's kind of boring. Okay, here's a bunch more eyes. You know, and that's all you got.
Well, what's funny, I think, too, is it looked like he started to draw like a Medusa, and then he was going to draw like a Medusa Cyclops, but he sucked at it. Yeah, because the eye stalks are really short. Right.
So I would encourage you, get onto YouTube or get onto Google or whatever you use, find it, because it is pretty hilarious.
It's in this giant cavern, and with that, I'd like to kind of do something a little bit different here. Let's kind of go on an imagination quest here for just a second, just to try to get into your mind's eye what Menzoberranzan is really like, okay? Imagine being a surface world dweller. You walk around in the forest. Let's say it's nighttime. You get to see the stars, hear birds, hear all the different flora and fauna of the surface world. Then you start to go into this tunnel, and you go deeper and deeper. It gets blacker and darker the deeper you go. Generally speaking, it's getting warmer, hotter, almost to the point of unbearable heat, but darker, to the point where you can't see your hand in front of your face. You light a torch, but the torch only goes so far down the depth of this cavern, down the depth of this cave. It's winding back and forth and back and forth. And as you get down, it breaks out onto a small little plateau and you're overlooking a city of stalactites and stalagmites. Built into these stalactites and stalagmites, you see little flickers of blue and purple and green lights. Fairy fire that is essentially lighting this giant cavern. This cavern that you're looking at as you step out onto this plateau is 1,000 feet high. Built into the walls, there are what look like castles, but they're hanging from the ceiling or hanging from the walls themselves. You see a small lake off in the distance, but what is major in your vision as you walk out here is one massive tower right in the middle. And on the top of that tower, you see a giant flame, similar to fairy fire, that lights the entirety of this cavern in kind of an eerie, spooky glow. What you're looking at, this tower, is the Tower Narvandel. You know, we're not trying to like focus in on any one dragon today. Monty, what's your favorite dragon?
My favorite?
Yeah. Overall.
Yeah, so my favorite dragon, I would say the silver dragons.
Silver dragon.
I think that they look really clean as far as like the way that they captivate me. And I would also say the silver dragons because they have sort of like an allegiance usually to a gold dragon. Their motivations are not really their own. They're just sort of acting out of duty, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go. For me, I think, I know this is going to be typical of just who I am. I would probably have to go the red dragon.
Mm-hmm. Mr.
Favorite colors,
Pyromaniac over here.
Love fire. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm not a huge fan of their personalities, right? I'm just a huge fan of their design and their breath weapon.
Although I would probably say
like
that you tend to have a red dragon personality.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
If I was to identify you as a type of dragon, it would probably be red dragon. I say that because not necessarily like total arrogance, but self-confidence, right? I think that comes out. I don't want to like beat you up or anything, but to a degree, you know, your horde is built up of you know, the things that you see like that elevate your lifestyle or status or whatever. Again, I'm not trying to beat you up or anything, but
thanks,
I think,
Monty, no.
but I
No,
think
that's
that. And then obviously you're a pyromaniac. You've pretty much always been one. So I think that
that is 100% the truth.
Yeah. You are attuned to the red dragon way.
Yeah. Would I say that you're a silver dragon? You know, I would. The one thing that I read on silver dragons is their immense loyalty. Mm-hmm. And I would say yes. that is you.
Oh, you think I'm like a silver dragon, huh?
I think that your attitude, if we were to ever look at a person that is loyal, Monty, you definitely have that.
Yeah. I feel like we should do this, Seth, where we should like build out a chart, right, of like dragon colors, right?
Okay.
and have it. It's like a personality test.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We should do that. If you guys want us to do that, you'll have to let us know.
Hey, if you want to do that, comment, review, rate, subscribe, all of that,
you know what?
jazz.
Throw in the comments what you think each dragon is like, and we'll try to meld these together, right?
And not only that,
types.
Yeah, not just that, but tell us which dragon you identify most with.
Yeah.
The big thing that I want to see is from some of you guys out there that have been listening, give us your ideas. What would you like for us to cover? We want to know what you want. So that we can touch on that. Remember, we're talking about specifics, stories in the fantasy or sci-fi realms, but we're
oh yeah, for sure. And obviously, there's a ton of stories out there that we could touch on. For now, we got some announcements. We got the upcoming Deck of Many Things segments, which will be some episodes where we basically bring together a bunch of smaller topics. Let us know what topics you guys would like to hear from or about, but we're going to touch on sort of the smaller things that don't have as much background and depth to them, but combine them into singular episodes that we're calling the Deck of Many Things. But I realize that is a tongue twister if you're trying to say one or the other. Then, of course, we've got our mail bag of holding, which everybody should have expected. It's sort of the obvious, catch term. But anyway, the mailbag of holding, which will be when you guys send in your reviews, questions, all that great stuff, or just some comments. You want to talk some crap about Seth? That's great. Please do that. Do extra of that if you can, and also give some praise to our producer and writers, JD and Morgan, because they are great.
They are awesome.
Remember to give us some reviews, subscriptions, likes, subscribes. Those are the things that keep us going. And we will see you guys next time. Go slay those dragons.
Hurrah.